Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to our channel. Before we get into this, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video like this. And drop a comment below. Did you already know these facts about Chiquita, or is this all brand new to you? Let's get into it. There is something about Chiquita of BABYMONSTER that the internet cannot stop talking about. She is 17 years old, she is the youngest member of one of the biggest K-pop girl groups under YG Entertainment, and every single time she steps on stage, she performs with the kind of confidence and polish that most idols take a decade to develop. But here is the question that nobody has really sat down and fully answered: where does all of that come from? Because talent like hers does not just appear out of thin air. And when you actually dig into the family background behind Chiquita, her real name is Raracha Fondachafafat, the picture that emerges is genuinely fascinating. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, everything about her is going to make complete sense. Let's start at the very beginning. Chiquita was born on February 17, 2009, in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand, a city the locals call Korat. She is not from Bangkok. She is not from the glitzy, entertainment-saturated capital where most Thai idols come from. She is from a mid-sized city in northeastern Thailand, and that detail matters more than people realize. Growing up away from the industry meant that her passion for performing was never manufactured or pushed by proximity to show business. It came from inside the family. And trust me, when you find out what her family actually looks like, the dots are going to start connecting in the most surprising way. Here is the thing most people do not know, and this is where it gets interesting. Chiquita is not the only person in her immediate family who ended up becoming a K-pop and T-pop idol. Her older brother, his name is Dechawat Fondachafafat, known professionally as dechawat, is a member of the Thai boy group Bus, a group that was formed through the Thai survival show 789 Survival and is currently active under Sunray Music, a subsidiary of Tata Entertainment. So let that sink in for a second. The same family, from the same city, produced two idols in two different countries' entertainment industries. That is not coincidence. That is a household with something running through it, a drive, a discipline, and a love for performance that clearly did not come from nowhere. And it gets even more wholesome than that. In February 2026, when Bus made their debut on M Countdown in South Korea, Kappa revealed in the interview that his younger sister was an active K-pop idol and that they would both be performing on the same show that day. BABYMONSTER and Bus on the same stage. Brother and sister, both idols, both debuting in Korea from a city most people outside Thailand cannot even locate on a map. The two were spotted standing side by side during the ending of the broadcast, and the internet absolutely lost its mind over it. Fans have been calling them the ultimate K-pop sibling duo, and honestly, they are not wrong. Now here is another piece of this that people sleep on. Their mother, Korat Thanatwarakit, has been publicly visible and actively supportive of both her children's careers from the very beginning. We are talking about a mother who recreated Chiquita's dances on social media, who engaged directly with fans online, who accompanied Chiquita to auditions and small performances from as early as when Chiquita was around 10 years old. This is not the kind of stage parent who pushed their kid into the spotlight for personal gain. The picture that emerges from every single account is of a family that recognized something real in their children and gave them the support to pursue it fully. That kind of unconditional backing at home? It is the invisible foundation beneath every great performer you have ever admired. Now, stay with me here, because here is the detail that genuinely stopped me when I first found it. Chiquita has been playing the flugelhorn, yes, the flugelhorn, a brass instrument, since she was 6 years old. 6. Most kids that age are barely figuring out how to tie their shoes, and this girl was already developing musical discipline through a wind instrument. That is years of learning how to control breath, how to understand musical structure, how to feel rhythm and timing from the inside out. People always wonder why Chiquita's vocal delivery sounds so emotionally controlled for someone her age, why it hits differently from the first note. And the answer might literally be years of brass instrument training before she ever set foot in a dance studio. Before she joined YG Entertainment, Chiquita was already putting in work. She was part of a dance cover group called Red Rose, performing cover routines and building stage presence in the underground scene. She also briefly practiced Taekwondo in 2014, which speaks to a pattern. This is a child who was always seeking structured disciplines that required focus, physical training, and mental toughness. None of this was a phase. It was all building towards something. And then in March 2021, something happened that changed everything. Chiquita auditioned for YG Entertainment. She walked in and performed In the Name of Love by Martin Garrix and BB Rexa, and what happened next is the part that will genuinely shock you. She was only 3 months into being a YG trainee when Yang Hyun-suk, the executive producer of YG Entertainment himself, watched her first monthly evaluation video and made a decision on the spot. His exact words? He said she has no fear, and that he wanted her in the BABYMONSTER project immediately after seeing that very first evaluation. 3 months. Not 3 years. Not 3 months of tryouts and callbacks. 3 months into training, she was already being fast-tracked by the head of one of the biggest entertainment companies in South Korea. To put that in context, Chiquita ended up having the shortest training period of any member in BABYMONSTER, roughly 1 year and 9 months total before debut. The other members had been training for years, some of them as long as 5 or 6 years. And yet Chiquita's raw level on arrival was apparently so high that the timeline just compressed for her. Yang Hyun-suk also went on record saying his hope was for Chiquita to one day have the same kind of global influence as Blackpink's Lisa. Coming from YG, that is not a throwaway compliment. That is a statement of serious expectation. And that Lisa comparison is not random either. Chiquita has openly said that Lisa is her biggest inspiration and role model. Both are Thai. Both trained and debuted under YG Entertainment. Both arrived at their respective groups as high-energy, technically sharp performers with unmistakable stage presence. Chiquita is the third Thai idol to ever debut under YG Entertainment, following Lisa and her fellow BABYMONSTER member Farida. But Chiquita's story specifically, coming from a non-entertainment city, from a family with no professional industry background, getting scouted and fast-tracked the way she was, feels like a different kind of narrative. Less like following a path that already existed, and more like carving a new one. Now, nobody talks about this enough, but there is a layer to the family story that is also quietly important. Chiquita and Kappa's family situation involves a stepfather who entered their lives around 2018, and by all accounts, the family dynamic has been stable, loving, and supportive. Their biological father has also remained in their lives. Both siblings have spoken about family with warmth, and that kind of emotional groundedness shows. When you watch Chiquita in interviews or behind-the-scenes content, there is a comfort in her own skin, a security, that you do not always see in young idols who have been grinding in the system since childhood with everything on the line. Her foundation is solid. And it shows in the way she performs, the way she interacts with her members, and the way she handles the enormous pressure of debuting with one of the most scrutinized girl groups in K-pop in years. BABYMONSTER officially debuted on April 1, 2024, with their mini-album Baemon 7ER, and Chiquita, the youngest, the one with the shortest training time, the one who walked in at barely 12 years old from a city in northeastern Thailand, held her own completely. The girl who was playing flugelhorn at 6, dancing in cover groups before most kids had a career aspiration, and practicing Taekwondo for discipline, ended up as the magne of a group that YG Entertainment spent 7 years building after Blackpink. 7 years. And she made it in with less time in the system than almost anyone else because the years before the system had already done the work. That is the family secret. It is not a scandal. It is not a dark backstory. The secret is that Chiquita's talent was never just about YG's training, it was built at home, in Nakhon Ratchasima, by parents who showed up to every audition, by a mother who supported and cheered and danced alongside her daughter online, by a household that also produced her brother Copper, a man who would go on to debut in his own group and stand next to his sister on a live broadcast stage in Korea, both of them having chased the same dream from the same family dinner table. When people see Chiquita command a stage at 17 with the presence of someone twice her age, they assume YG made her. And yes, YG polished what was there. But the raw material, the musicality, the fearlessness, the drive, the discipline, all of that came from somewhere that predates every training room and evaluation stage. It came from home. From a family that clearly believed in the power of showing up, working hard, and going all the way. That is the story behind Chiquita of BABYMONSTER. And now that you know it, try watching her perform and not see it differently. If this video gave you something you didn't know before, please like it. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Share it with your fellow monsters who need to hear this story. Leave a comment below, tell me what surprised you the most. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that button right now so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got a lot more where this came from. See you in the next one. Annyeong.